Everyone. My name is Lisa Thurau, and I'm the founder and the former executive director of Strategies for Youth. Tonight, I have the pleasure of welcoming you to Strategies for Youth's first annual Leadership Awards. We're glad you're joining us to celebrate some very special people who partner with Strategies for Youth to support young people. I want to begin by describing Strategies for Youth to you. First, our mission is to ensure the best possible outcomes for youth who interact with law enforcement. Our goal is to support positive interactions, reduce arrests and use of force, and to ensure youth experience law enforcement officers as a source of support where possible. We use 4 strategies to achieve our mission. The first 2 strategies aim to fill some structural gaps in how officers are equipped to work with youth. To do that, we offer policing the teen brain training for patrol and school resource officers, and we offer model law enforcement policies for interactions with youth for law enforcement agencies. Both our training and policies are based on the principles of developmental competence. When adults understand and recognize the youth's developmental differences, things just go better. And when adults understand trauma's impact and use equitable approaches to working with youth, the sky is the limit. In addition to training and policies, we also offer a youth services app to help law enforcement connect youth and their families to youth serving and family serving community-based organizations where they can find additional support. SFY's third strategy is directed towards youth. Through our Juvenile Justice Jeopardy games, we teach youth how to navigate and avoid all the ways they are pushed by peers, pushed by social media, their environment, and normal developmental impulses to take risks that put them in legal jeopardy. Finally, our fourth strategy is to do original research, to write and speak to anyone who will listen about the need to ensure that states support these strategies to promote public safety in their communities and give youth the opportunity to grow and thrive even after they've made mistakes. Please know that we started in 2010 with 2 contracts, and now we currently or have worked in 28 states nationwide. Inheriting this enterprise is our new executive director, Anthony Pierro, who began January 1st. Anthony is a rare prosecutor. He started out in the juvenile justice realm and stayed there, believing that's where he could make the most impact in people's lives, both to help and to redirect youth and to find support for them. His passionate commitment is both inspiring and contagious, and it affects everyone in his orbit. He is excited to provide law enforcement with SFY's training and policies, and you cannot find a bigger champion of juvenile justice jeopardy than Anthony. He has already published an article in Newsweek in his first 22 days with us, making this case, and he is ready to go and make sure our programming spreads to another 22 states. It is my pleasure to introduce you to him now.
Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. And welcome everybody to tonight. Lisa talked about what we do, and I could talk all night about youth justice and juvenile justice. I think there is so much to say, so much we can do, so many avenues that we can attack. And if we work together, again, there's just so much that we can bring to this system that we can actually improve and see better outcomes. But the truth is, well done is better than well said. And I don't want to take up time talking. I want to talk about people that have done it. And I want to talk about what we can all do to continue in that spirit of well done, being better than well said. And that's what tonight is about. Tonight is about honoring 4 individuals who did it, who continue to do it, who work in the system and make it theirs, and make everybody who works with them proud of what it is that we can accomplish when we partner law enforcement and youth, when we actually bring to a system what it was designed to achieve: success, positive outcomes. And quite honestly, we're all proud when we have a system that we are working on in that way. So what can we do to make that happen? What can we do to continue this where well done is better than well said? Number one, we have to prioritize youth justice in our community. We have to make it important. We are the gatekeepers. We are the individuals who decide what matters. And what matters more than our young people? What matters more than a system that is designed to succeed, to allow people to succeed and achieve? because if we don't make it a priority, nobody else will. And that means retaining people. Lisa talked about my career. I committed to juvenile justice. I wanted to stay. But we have to support those individuals across the country that want to stay. We have to make this so that they are retained and so that they are supported in that way. Why? Because it is those connections that allow us to break down the silos that exist, that allow us to build relationships, to know where we can go, who we can work with, and how we can do it together to accomplish these goals. When we interrupt that flow and that commitment, then we lose those relationships and we start all over again. And we fall into a trap of trying to build rather than maintain and excel. The other thing we need to do, regardless of our role, I put this up here because I was a prosecutor. We need to lead beyond the courtroom. We need to lead beyond our role. And I think you're going to hear that with all four of our awardees tonight, that they have led beyond their realm. They have done more than they should have done if it was based on their role or their job. They have broken barriers. They have met people where they are. They have gotten out of their comfort zone and they have built and they have created and they have committed to it, which leads me to the last point. We have to commit to this. We have to create it. And then, of course, we have to fund it. And we have to make sure that this continues. As Lisa said, we went from an organization with 2 contracts to working in 28 states across this country. And we can attack the other 22. We can be there and make it so that juvenile justice is the priority that it needs to be, both for our law enforcement community and for the success of our systems and for our law enforcement and youth. And one of the people that has done this is our co-chair, Jordy McClellan, who I have the pleasure of introducing. I only met Jordy about 6 months ago, and I could tell immediately that he's a champion. He is absolutely a kind person, a leader in the field, absolutely relentless when it comes to trying to do well done better than well said. He is relentless in his approach, works with me all the time, and has made this transition much easier than it probably could have been. And Jordy, I want to thank you for that. And I'm going to turn the floor over to you for the board's commitment to the work.
Amazing. Thank you, Anthony. And I'll remind you, we're honoring 4 people, so not the 5th. But I really appreciate the kind words, and I'm very excited to be here on behalf of the board and recognizing these 4 awardees. One of the things I admire most about Strategies for Youth and the partners we work alongside is how truly inclusive this work really is. It brings together people of many different roles whose actions shape young people's lives and their experiences with systems of authority, whether they be community advocates, public defenders, prosecutors, police officers, and more. And this work is not only informed by their lived experience, but also by the insights of scientists, psychologists, physicians, who help ground our approach in trauma-informed, racially equitable practice. We learn from community members, from young people themselves, about what it means to feel respected, protected, and understood, and about the critical importance of trust between young people and law enforcement. The honorees that we celebrate tonight reflect that diversity of perspective and that shared commitment to the well-being of young people in our communities. We're honored tonight to recognize their work. But before we do, I'd be remiss if I didn't take a moment to acknowledge the person whose vision made all of this possible, the person whose belief in our collective responsibility, young people, led to the creation of Strategies for Youth. As she said more than 15 years ago, Lisa Thurau founded SFY with a simple idea, one that anyone who's worked with her has heard often. We must do better by our young people. And over the past 15 years, Lisa's done exactly that. With the support of partners and communities across the country, the impact of the small but mighty SFY team has really been extraordinary, and no one has embodied that more than Lisa. Through trainings, advocacy in 28 states, as you've heard, thousands of officers better equipped to interact with youth, countless young people empowered with the knowledge of their rights and responsibilities, and landmark work like the 12 model law enforcement policies for youth interaction, Lisa's influence will truly be felt for generations. As she steps down from her role as executive director this year, we're grateful that she chose to continue on as a strategic policy advisor, ensuring that her wisdom, leadership, and inspiration remain part of SFY's future. And we're really excited about the future, and we're really excited tonight to honor these 4 folks who, again, truly embody the power of that community. So thank you to them. Thank you to Lisa, and I'll hand it off.
Thank you, Jordy, for your very kind words. I appreciate them, and it has been really a pleasure and a gift to work with you. I started Strategies for Youth in 2010 with $100 in the bank and an overwhelming sense of urgency that we had to do something. And unfortunately, I didn't know much about business, but one piece of business advice I had heard was that if I was going to run an effective organization, I should surround myself with people a lot smarter than myself. Being realistic, I thought that would be easy. And in fact, it was. And tonight, I'm proud to have you meet most of the members on our screen. We have Kristen Wheeler, who's our legal director and develops the Jeopardy games. Shelley Jackson, who is another lawyer with us who has led the Police Policies Initiative. Jasmine Bruner, who stays behind the scene and is responsible for pulling all of this together time after time in so many different contexts. We also have Anthony Gerasi, our law enforcement training director. And while you can't see them, I do want to thank our psychologists, Dr. Linda Watt, Dr. Jeff Aaron, and Dr. Josh Harrison, and Dr. Alsma. I also want to thank our volunteer, our youth services app developer, Jack Gray. Not only are these people smart, they bring decades of experience, remarkable insights and thoughtfulness, and they build powerful partnerships with people across the country because they're not just smarter, but they're so committed to the best outcomes for youth. The business advice I never heard, one piece of many, was how much I would learn from our partners and how much that would improve what we do at Strategies for Youth. Our partners have taught me and our team to better understand what works in the field, versus what works in theory, to recognize that persistence, not spectacle, leads to change. And their use of our strategies in ways we could not predict have also led to impacts we could not imagine. Best of all, because we often meet with resistance and disbelief, our partners have given us the courage to keep on keeping on and to float our new ideas by them and to try them. So tonight we are here to recognize and honor 4 partners. They have pioneered use of our ideas. They are unsung heroes doing work that few notice, but that changes the world of youth and the adults who work with them. They have funded SFY's ideas and promoted our approaches with colleagues. They are risk takers who, out of frustration or hope, tried Juvenile Justice Jeopardy, or said, I want to be a policing the teen brain trainer, or chose to implement the Youth Services app. They recognize that just as our team is interdisciplinary approaches that wrap around kids are exactly what give youth a fighting chance to succeed. Tonight, we honor these partners for all they do with us and for youth. It's been an honor. I'm going to begin with our first award to Rebecca Humphrey. You may not know this. You may have thought John Mellencamp was Indiana's rock star, but you're wrong. It is Rebecca Humphrey. More famous and more necessary, I would argue, than John. Rebecca is a statewide legend known for her generosity, her remarkable energy, her nonstop efforts to implement the juvenile detention alternative, to slow the flow of youth into the juvenile justice system, and to ensure that youth get what they need to keep out of it. As the executive director for Tippecanoe County's Youth Services, Rebecca has taken it upon herself to challenge the county's law enforcement agencies to adopt SFY's Policing the Teen Brain and its principles of developmentally appropriate, trauma-informed, equitable practices. This has led to reduction in use of arrests and dramatic declines in racial disparities in Tippecanoe County. And it is one of the few states in the United States to accomplish this. First, by trying to figure out who's coming into the system and then reducing the use of detention for them. And then she made sure through nudging, and I would add harangues, that 23 other Indiana counties use the Policing the Teen Braining too, and many continue to do so today. She also decided to provide the seed money for us to develop a long dream of mine, which was to create an app to connect youth to a wide array of services in their own communities. from shelters to job opportunities and all kinds of supports for struggling families. She put all this together with us, and we now can put it in officers' hands where they can immediately access information and share it with youth or a parent through a text. She's also gone one step farther, besides creating the basics of this youth services app, by including facilitating a diversion feature. So at the point of contact with an officer can divert a youth, especially for the low-level charges that some youth face. Rebecca has used Juvenile Justice Jeopardy to teach countless youth how to navigate interactions with their peers and with the police to help them avoid legal jeopardy and to prevent minor incidents from escalating. She also asked us to create other versions of Jeopardy, including one to increase school attendance for kids from elementary to high school and for their parents who can be charged in Indiana for failing to ensure their kids go to school. Rebecca has distributed Indiana's version of Strategies for Youth Think About It First cards, as well as our math exercises. And I know Lieutenant Lowe has done that too, to explain to youth how much it will cost their families to step one day into a court in Indiana. She's helped us get Parenting the Teen Brain, which we started in Madison County, rolled out in Tippecanoe, and it is now established in Indiana and run through Anderson University and has served thousands of parents since 2017. Rebecca also, more than anyone, constantly promotes SFY's work with others, singing SFY's praises inside Indiana and beyond to an untold number of states, including folks from Texas to Michigan and Maine to Los Angeles. I deeply value Rebecca's feedback, her wisdom, and her pragmatism, and especially her enthusiasm for all my new ideas, including the ones that peter out. She really represents what every kid needs. She represents hope and optimism. For all these reasons, for her commitment to youth, we are very pleased to award Rebecca Humphrey with the Visionary Youth Leadership Award today.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It means so much to me, and I am truly honored to be recognized as the Strategy for Youth Champion. This recognition really isn't about me. It belongs to all of us who are willing to pause, reflect, and ask hard questions about how we treat children. I want to begin by thanking especially Lisa and her team at Strategies for Youth. Your innovation and boldness consistently challenge us to do better. This is not about me. This is a whole group of people who do great things for kids. Judge Graham and Magistrate Thompson, you're first on my list. Our juvenile court models what it looks like to hold youth accountable without losing sight of their humanity. You truly walk side by side all of us who want to do good and right by children and families. Justice Rush, you were the first reformer in my life and taught me the meaning of development and context and connection, and all of those things matter. Captain Kurt Wolf, you're the original champion in Tippecanoe County. Your transparency, courage, and insistence on growth over compliance fueled our partnership with SFY. You challenged me to find something that could really hold up our law enforcement agencies and teach about approach, and SFY came to our rescue. And of course, Brian Lowe, Aaron Gilman, Dr. Alsma, and Mike Bailey, you folks made Policing the Teen Brain sustainable through your commitment. It's no accident that Brian is also being honored tonight. I'm deeply grateful to many other stakeholders who really make this work on the ground possible. Probation officers, Scott, Mariah, and Gabrielle, with many others, and law enforcement, Dan, Ian, Troy, Terry, and the police and sheriff, and our prosecutors and our public defenders, all of whom I am certain every single time do not know what to think when I say, could we have a meeting to talk about that? I appreciate that you let me still come in your doors. Having community-based nonprofits and educators like Dr. Reinhardt and advocates come to the table each and every time we have a need creates real change. And that's how we pick up what Strategies for Youth has to offer. And to the county commissioners, Tom Murtaugh, Tracy Brown, David Byers, and our auditor, Jennifer Weston, you allow me to run boldly into change and then change course again, as we always try to meet the needs from prevention to placement. Your trust means everything to me. Youth justice reform does not happen in silos. It happens when adults across systems are willing to examine their own responses and approaches, and when leadership expects that of their teams and sets priorities. That willingness, those expectations, and those priorities led us to Policing the Teen Brain. the recognition that adults need to change how we respond if we want to change how youth respond. Accountability still matters, but so do growth, grace, and allowing youth the opportunity to grow out of developmentally appropriate risk taking. Lisa the Teen Brain has also helped us confront disparity, as you heard Lisa say. When adults slow down, regulate themselves, and understand adolescent development, decisions become more consistent and more fair. Bias has less room to take hold when responses are grounded in science instead of fear or frustration, and we've seen that impact clearly in our community. One of Strategies for Youth's greatest contribution is not giving us answers, but creating spaces to test our assumptions. Through all of their programs, we apply what many of us already know at a gut level. If this were my child, would this response make sense? Would it help or would it harm? And it is through my own children's superpowers that I figured out that we needed to do a lot of things differently here in our own community. When my son Ethan, who is full of common sense, says to me, "But I didn't know, Mom," when we talked about something that could have or might go wrong, I realized the importance of teaching kids about what could go wrong and unintended consequences, about what the expectations are and about what their rights are. And that piece through Juvenile Justice Jeopardy, that has made all of the difference. And the kids tell us why this matters. They say everyone should play this game, and I wish I knew this before I got into trouble. More than 80% of youth who play Juvenile Justice Jeopardy in our community do not get arrested again. That is evidence we can stand behind. This award is a reminder that adult decisions and approach change everything. Every interaction is a choice. We can escalate or we can educate. We can punish or we can problem solve. And we can change the entire direction of an encounter. And this has pushed us to embrace even more teen brain opportunities through teaching the teen brain, parenting the teen brain, and understanding my teen brain. Thank you to Strategies for Youth for challenging us to lead with science and compassion. Thank you to this community and to those across the state who believe youth justice can and must be better. To my youth services team and our JDI sister sites, Christy, Heather, Corey, Brad, I see you, and I appreciate it. DOC and the JDI state team, thank you for saying yes to the many "what if we tried this" opportunities that come our way. You never told me my ideas were too silly, even when it included buying a food truck or an ice cream bike, or can I please have more funding for one more opportunity for our app, for one more thing that we can do for the community. You show up when it's hard, when it's messy, and when no one is watching. This work lives in your daily choices. Linda, Peg, Julie, Caitlin, Misty, Maddie, Lindsay, and Devin, and so many others, this award is really yours for keeping me grounded and supported every day and every way. Thank you to my original family, Frank, Rob, Laura, and Gina. You were my first teachers in grace, resilience, and how opportunities can defy expectations. You believed in me even before I was ready to believe in myself and gave me the courage to show that to other people. And my husband, Sean, my encourager, my anchor, and my biggest cheerleader. You hold the space that allows this work to exist. And you remind me again and again, if not us, then who? And finally, to Ethan, Emily, and Eric, my constant reminder of why this work matters. You've taught me far more than I could ever teach you. Your superpowers of caring deeply about the outcomes for others, Emily, of no-nonsense approaches, Ethan, and of deep gratitude and kindness, Eric, inspire me every day. Thank you for every sacrifice, every interruption, and every moment you trusted me when the answer was simply because it's the right thing to do. I'm incredibly grateful and lucky to stand alongside of each and every one of you in this work. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Strategies for Youth.
Wow, Rebecca, thank you very much. We'd love to publish your remarks. Those were very moving and powerful. Thank you, Rebecca. It is now my pleasure to introduce you to Anthony Gerasi, SFY's Law Enforcement Training Director, who joined us in July. We chose Anthony for his experience in policing, both as an officer as well as a commander-in-chief in various places across New York State. Anthony's commitment to the principles of procedural justice are definitely what made him a catch for us, as well as his experience working with youth. He presents and promotes our Policing the Teen Brain training and has joined us in very different locales so far: the northernmost town in northern Maine, the Bay Area of California, and next, New York. Anthony will now present our Law Enforcement Training Award.
Thank you, Lisa, for those kind words. And good evening, everyone. It's truly an honor to be here today on behalf of Strategies for Youth to present the first annual Leadership in Policing the Teen Brain Training Award. This award recognizes a law enforcement leader who has gone above and beyond to ensure that officers are equipped with not only the tactical skills, but they have the understanding, empathy, and evidence-based strategies for engaging young people. Tonight, we present this inaugural award to Lieutenant Brian Lowe of the Tippecanoe Sheriff's Office. This month, Lieutenant Lowe will be completing his 42nd training to agencies within his county, including his home agency of Tippecanoe Sheriff's Office, Lafayette Police Department, West Lafayette Police Department, and Purdue University. Since 2014, he has delivered 100 Police in the Teen Brain trainings across the state of Indiana, as well as nationwide, since first becoming an instructor with SFY 12 years ago. That level of sustained commitment is extraordinary. It reflects his deep belief that safety is built when officers understand adolescent development, they recognize the impact of trauma, and approach youth with both authority and humanity. I am especially excited to recognize Lieutenant Lowe because our signature law enforcement training, Policing the Teen Brain, serves as the cornerstone for this work. Time and again, this training has resonated with participants, as Lisa indicated, from the northern portion of Maine to the East Bay of California. And participants, they leave often translated by the neuroscience and adolescent development of trauma-informed policies, and they put them into actionable tactics that officers could immediately apply in their professional roles, as well as at home as parents of teenagers. And Lieutenant Lowe and I have compared notes of raising teenagers. I currently have two in my home, so this curriculum is very helpful. It creates a shared language and framework for understanding youth behavior, but one that prioritizes safety, dignity, and long-term community trust. One of the most powerful aspects of this training is the organic, peer-driven dialogue that happens in the room. Officers will openly share real-world challenges, successes, and lessons learned from their own communities. These conversations foster collaboration across disciplines and frequently lead to solution-oriented outcomes, revised response strategies, improve referral pathways to community partners, and ultimately leading to stronger alignment between schools, services, and law enforcement. The classroom becomes a space for respectful dialogue and collective problem solving. Ultimately, it reinforces the idea that effective youth engagement is a shared responsibility. A truly impactful part of the training, and personally one of my favorite, is when it comes time for youth to participate in skits alongside of police officers. These moments bring the training to life, breaking down barriers and humanizing both officers and young people, modeling what positive engagement can look like in practice. By the conclusion of each training, participants consistently report leaving with a renewed and energized approach to working with youth. They often say that they're not afraid anymore of youth in their community. They talk about slowing down their responses, and they talk about considering the totality of circumstances before taking any enforcement action. It has been an absolute pleasure to work with officers nationwide, like Lieutenant Lowe, who are so deeply invested in the young people they serve. Their genuine commitment and willingness to facilitate these trainings make them both meaningful and impactful. I can say with confidence that participants leave these sessions equipped with the tools and renewed clarity on how to align their enforcement responsibilities with developmentally appropriate approaches. Lieutenant Lowe's leadership exemplifies why investing in this kind of training matters. His work reinforces the importance of empowering law enforcement to engage with youth with understanding, confidence, and purpose, ultimately strengthening communities in Tippecanoe County, the state of Indiana, and across our nation. Lieutenant Lowe, thank you for your vision, your dedication, and your leadership. On behalf of Strategies for Youth, it is my privilege to present you with the Leadership in Policing the Teen Brain Training Award. Congratulations to you, sir, and to your agency.
Thank you so much, Anthony. I appreciate that. We just met not too long ago, but I've known Lisa since I started. And Lisa, I have to say thank you so much for bringing Policing the Teen Brain and Strategies for Youth to me. And I started my law enforcement career in 1993. And from 1993 to 2013, I knew nothing about training or interacting with teenagers, nothing beyond just whatever I knew. I had two teenage boys or young boys, and in 2013, when I was voluntold to go to this training called Policing the Teen Brain. I said, yeah, I'll go. I don't even know what this is about. He said, it's something to do with police and teenagers. I don't know, just go. So I went, and there's about 30 other officers from all the agencies in town, and in comes Lisa and about six guys dressed in suit coats, and I was like, this is not police training. I don't know what this is. This is some corporate training. I went to the wrong building. But no, it was policing the teen brain. And the first day was introductions of everything, and I'm just listening and following. But then the curriculum started, and Dr. Alsma got up and he started explaining about 2 years of child brain development in a 6-hour period. And man, did that resonate with me. First of all, I thought of all the things I probably did wrong when I interacted with youth as a 20-year police veteran. I also felt like as a father, oh my gosh, I could have done so much better if I only would have known this. So what I did was I intently took notes and I intently listened. And as Lisa and her staff went through the next 3 days of training, I made up my mind that this is something that I was going to continue in Tippecanoe County. So as soon as it was over, I ran up to Lisa and I said, I want to teach this. And she said, okay, sign this sheet here. So I signed the sheet. And then Rebecca Humphrey, myself, Aaron Gilman, there was some others involved early on. We just got together and we said, let's do this. And as a team, I know Rebecca listed a lot of people. I echo everybody she said, from the judge to Aaron Gilman to Victor Torres to Mike Daly to Dr. Alsma, especially Rebecca. She's our rock star. I know she's getting an award or got an award from you guys, but I tell you, without Rebecca, I couldn't do this because she's really the person that keeps it all together. But we show up now. We're such a team. Like Anthony said, this is going to be our 42nd training. I've trained all over Indiana, and luckily Lisa has sent me to 6, 7 places around the country. And I couldn't be more happy that Strategies for Youth came into my life in 2013, because it changed me as a person, as a police officer, and as a father. And those are 3 of the most important things in my life. So, Lisa, thank you so much for bringing this to Tippecanoe County. I know others had a hand in bringing you, but you're the one who brought the curriculum and you had it available. So thank you so much. Thank you to all of you guys. I greatly appreciate the honor, and I'm going to keep this going as long as I can.
Thank you so very much, Brian. I always smile when I think of you in that first meeting, and thank you for all you do now. It is now my pleasure to introduce Kristen Wheeler. The first time I met Kristen is when she interviewed by Zoom during COVID to develop and implement the Jeopardy games for us. Kristen's a lawyer, but she's very nice. I asked her during the interview to persuade me to buy the Juvenile Justice Jeopardy game for the youth in my after-school program. So we said, do that in 7 to 10 minutes. And her presentation was so outstanding and impressively well thought out. I figured, well, I can quit now. She has expanded the kinds of Jeopardy versions we offer. She has found ways to ensure youth lead games to make real our goal of empowering youth. She has countless thoughtful ways of teaching, and she is the personification of someone who goes above and beyond, making something good so much better. Kristen maintains the highest standards for herself, and the quality of her work is uniformly judged to be remarkable. Kristen will present our 2 remaining awards to 2 special Juvenile Justice Jeopardy game leaders in different parts of our country.
Thanks so much, Lisa, and good evening, everybody. I am SFY's legal director, and as Lisa mentioned, in that capacity, I run our educational program for youth, Juvenile Justice Jeopardy. And I am so thrilled to have the opportunity to present our first annual Leadership in Juvenile Justice Jeopardy Award to not one, but two standout JJJ game leaders. For those who don't know, JJJ is an educational program designed to empower youth with knowledge about the juvenile justice system, their rights and obligations and interactions with law enforcement, and to warn them of the serious consequences that can come from involvement in the juvenile justice system. It offers an engaging and inviting game show style approach to these often hard and serious topics, all in an effort to reach youth where they are for the critical conversations these topics bring to the table, and ultimately to help them avoid system involvement. But JJJ can't successfully accomplish any of this if there isn't a skilled, energetic, passionate, and approachable, credible messenger in the room, not only playing game show host, but meeting young people's questions and curiosity with compassion, kindness, and most importantly, accurate information. Juggling this many things all at once takes a lot of work. I should know I also lead JJJ games, and coming to this practice from being a public defender, it's so rewarding to be able to deliver information that young people can use to avoid system contact rather than delivering information sitting across from them in a holding cell after an arrest. So over 15 years across 28 different states, hundreds of other stakeholders have shared this experience as they've led their own JJJ games in their own communities. But out of all those folks, I'm honored to present these awards to our two recipients this evening. I know both, I've worked with both, and have witnessed the power their presence and commitment brings to rooms of JJJ players. They are from opposite sides of the country, and in their professions, they may find themselves appearing on opposite sides of a courtroom. But those differences only speak to how JJJ can be a successful tool for anyone committed to protecting youth, and those differences matter far less than what these two JJJ game leaders have in common, which is a commitment to keeping youth out of the juvenile justice system and a willingness to go above and beyond what their jobs expect of them. Our first recipient is Eden Zavala, an attorney with the LA County Public Defender's Office. She has represented youth in delinquency proceedings and adults in criminal cases for 24 years, and now specializes in advocating for the most vulnerable youth, her clients with severe mental illness and developmental disabilities in the juvenile mental health court, and ensuring their well-being and educational needs despite court involvement. Eden has been playing JJJ longer than me, much longer, in fact. She started in 2012 and has been a steadfast partner to SFY ever since. I have had the pleasure of traveling out to LA to work with Eden 3 times over the past 5 years, and part of the reason she is receiving this award is because of what happens every time I'm in LA. If there is a JJJ training session or a game to be played, Eden is there. She is there not because her office requires her to come. She is there because she wants to know how she can help bring JJJ to more youth. Whether it is visiting a school to play JJJ, supporting newly trained game leaders in their inaugural sessions, organizing carpools of youth to get them to the game, or spreading the word to her colleagues about a training, Eden is the best kind of game leader SFY could hope for. When Eden is in the room, I know I'm in safe hands. She knows the trendy words to use, and she knows how to turn complex legal concepts into relatable stories that make information digestible to youth. Thank you, Eden, for all the tireless support and commitment you have brought to SFY, JJJ, and the youth in your community. Congratulations on receiving the Leadership in Juvenile Justice Jeopardy Award.
There I am. Thank you, Kristen, for that introduction. I just want to kind of emotional right now. But I want to thank Lisa and Kristen and the other Strategies for Youth team for this recognition. I got an award once for my work with youth in the community, but this award is an emotional one for me. I've always felt that being a part of the JJJ family was very natural to me. I love to serve the community and I'm involved in a lot. But with the JJJ team, I always felt like the stars aligned when I wanted to participate. I didn't have to juggle my schedule. And when it needed someone to coordinate, I jumped and went with no hesitation, of course, bringing along or following along with my partner in crime, Natasha Kamashta. Teaching kids in a manner that's so organic to learning, like a game, and knowing that these lessons that they're going to learn will educate them, empower them, and help keep them safe. It's like life purpose stuff for me, right? I've always walked out of a game with a full heart and feeling rewarded. I wanted to share the growth that I've experienced with Juvenile Justice Jeopardy over the years out here in the West Coast. At first, the program was featured at LA County's Parks After Darks. It was a summer festival, and every park was different. So we didn't know exactly what was going to happen when we go there. We just showed up with the equipment and materials ready to go, adapted accordingly. If you could imagine, we're carrying a laptop in a laptop bag, an accordion folder of a lot of handouts, a bag of candy, a bowl of candy, and one of those like really big old screens about 6 to 7 feet long. So we don't know where we're going to park, but we just keep going for it. And eventually, because things kept falling, it was very difficult. We just got smart and put everything in a rolling cart. So we had the big screen in one hand and then the rolling cart. And then we got even smarter and required every park location to have a screen for us. But years later, we obtained 3 licenses for 3 programs, 1 per laptop. And at the same time, the park events blew up to over 30 parks. So Natasha and I had to coordinate how to handle these programs, the computers. So while Natasha coordinated with what parks and where we're going to be, I had to coordinate it to get 3 laptops and materials all over LA County in a short time, because we were doing sometimes 3 to 4 events a week. So with Natasha, we would sometimes meet people at places like freeway exits, because I needed to get laptop number 2 from Pomona, the most east courthouse in LA, to a person in downtown LA so that they could take it to Lancaster, the most north part of LA County, to make it there in time for the game. And Pomona and Lancaster are 96.5 miles away. So let's add on LA traffic with that. But we got it done. We got 3 computers running around the county for weeks during the summer to make sure every event happened. And now we're the smartest, we're geniuses, and we can log on to any computer, bring a hotspot just in case, if you want to play the game. We had to learn that we needed proper space. One time I was sent to a park and the room was so small, I couldn't fit that big screen in the room. So we just had to project the game on the wall with all the dirty marks and just ignore the fact like over a kid on the pitcher's face had a mark. We had to learn that we couldn't be in a space where there's squeaky shoe sounds from the gym or a movie night starting where pizza was walking by with families. We couldn't keep the kids' attention. And then also we learned that we needed space with electricity that was accessible to us. Instead, we would find 5 or 6 extension cords, put them all together so that we can boot up our laptops and made sure they lasted while we were playing the game. Another thing that we learned is we needed to recruit the right audience. One time this was one of the first parks I went to, we had about 50 kids in a room, and they ranged from middle school people to, the loud, super loud, sometimes bullying the little kids, high schoolers. And it took a long time to go through the game, and we lost a lot of voices from all of the players at that one. We had one where we had 13 and 14-year-olds where the questions were just flying over the head. It was too sophisticated, and the tone in the room completely changed when we started talking about the sex laws. And one time, while I was setting up equipment, I sent out my coworkers to go recruit kids in the playground. And when I went out to help them, I noticed I sent out 2 men that were walking around the playground in the park saying, "Hey, do you want to play a game? Why don't you come over here and play this game with us in this room?" Of course, I immediately interrupted them. And I said from then on, I think that I would be the best person to run out there and recruit people. So after all these years, just to let you know, we've learned, we now have moved from the park events. We have taken the show into the classrooms where we work along agencies like the Boys and Girls Club. We work in classrooms where kids are age appropriate, the number is appropriate, where they're expected to learn a lesson, and we get to come in and play a fun, interactive game where they think they know the law and realize it's not quite what they thought. And you bring a lot of snacks because you need snacks for this population. So we learned also a lot about the different realities that kids lived in. I remember being over on the east side of the county, and every time we bring up a question or a situation, I had a boy raise his hand and say, prison? I know what prison is. It's called the Pen, and it's upstate, and I know this because my uncle was there. And as the questions kept going by, this little girl would look at me and her eyes would just go really big. And the boy kept raising his hands when we put out questions about what if this happened at your school. And he would continually raise his hand and say, I know this because this happens at my school. And this is, and tell exactly what happened there. And this little girl kept looking at me with really big eyes saying, what school does he go to? I don't want to go there. So just with all the work that we've had in the parks, Juvenile Justice Jeopardy has become popular. And because of that, we were sought out to bring the game not only there, but we went to government classes in schools. We went to huge community events like My Brother's Keeper. And this is an event held in LA County by the libraries and local community groups, empowering young men in the community. And I even participated in a meeting with the Dodgers Foundation to see if this program would be a good fit for their event. All the interaction and the knowledge that we share with the kids is absolutely necessary and rewarding. But what's also exciting about it is it continues and it spills into other people. We had a few kids coming back year after year telling them, I know this question, or you changed this question on us. Or we get parents drawn in because the kids wouldn't leave. So they'd stay waiting for their kids, and you'd look back and they were the ones helping answer, and they would raise their hands and ask their own questions about the juvenile laws. At Hazard Park, this park, after maybe 3 or 4 times being there, they got excited about our game, where they started giving raffle tickets to any kid that showed up and participated, answered right questions. And at the end, they raffled off 2 bikes. So we had 2 happy kids leaving with new bikes over at Hazard Park. So from all the inner city kids to the kids of our own families from the suburbs that we brought out to learn and play Juvenile Justice Jeopardy, the impact of this game on our community is so remarkable. A few months ago, I drove home with 4 teenagers in my car after a session with our lovely Kristen Wheeler, and they couldn't stop talking about it for the entire hour. And they told me if we ever need kids again, that they would like to come. I just want to thank my family. I know I have a sister in Phoenix, and my younger sister, my sorority sisters, my best friend, Judge Janice Sang, my partner in crime, Natasha. They're all present here to experience this with me. I wanted to let them know thank you for coming. Thank you for always supporting me. Thank you again, Strategies for Youth and the family, for the amazing program and the amazing opportunity to educate and empower our youth in our community. I am ready whenever you need me. Just give me a call. Thank you.
That's outstanding. Thank you, Eden. Thank you.
Thank you, Eden. Wonderful to hear you persevering after all these years, and thank you for always being there for us. All right, so I'm going to turn to our second recipient this evening, Jordan King, an attorney with the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office, where he has practiced as a prosecutor in the municipal and juvenile courts and now serves as the director of youth diversion programs since 2020. I started working with Jordan in 2022 after he reached out to SFY because he did something that is exceptional. He listened and he learned from young people. In his effort to reimagine diversion programming, Jordan prioritized hearing from system-impacted youth. And it was these young people who told him, if you teach us, you won't see us again. Over the past 4 years, Jordan brought JJJ to diversion programs in Philadelphia to do just that, supporting its use with youth to reduce recidivism. But the reason Jordan is receiving this award is because he did something that I haven't seen from any other game leader. He trained youth to lead JJJ and now travels with them to spread the education with the tool. I had the pleasure of seeing him and his We Speak Youth Advisory Group present JJJ at a youth symposium in Pittsburgh this year. I couldn't believe the extra roles Jordan was willing to take on. In addition to all those required of a JJJ leader, Jordan was a caring chaperone, he was a cheerleader, and he was a role model. I witnessed the immediate impact that these peer leaders, counseling other young people on avoiding friends who put them in bad situations and how it just wasn't worth the risk of system involvement. And Jordan has taken on the hard work of leading JJJ games and even harder work of supporting youth while they learn and teach others. Thank you, Jordan, for doing something exceptional at JJJ. I hope you know how rare it is to find such a committed game leader. Congratulations on receiving the Leadership in Juvenile Justice Jeopardy Award.
Thank you so much, Kristen, and thank you so much, Lisa. It's an honor to be here with all of you. I greatly appreciate this recognition, and I will cherish it for a lifetime. Kristen and Lisa truly understand what it means to meet young people where they're at. Their approach deeply resonates with me and my approach to juvenile justice for a couple of reasons. First, community safety interventions feel anything but safe when we prioritize fear and power over respect and reverence for the rule of law. Second, it's hypocritical to hold youth and families accountable if we're unwilling to hold ourselves to the same degree of accountability. And third, the justice system does not feel just when adolescent minds still cannot grasp their charges, even as the steel bars close on their futures. I'm proud to say that Philadelphia has utilized Juvenile Justice Jeopardy to start pushing back against those harms. Coordinating our implementation of the game with the guidance of our Youth Advisory Council has been some of the most rewarding work of my young career. Young people's guidance makes the education culturally relevant and digestible for their generation. I also want to thank the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency for supporting us with resources to even develop a Youth Advisory Council and for allowing us the space to bring the game to multiple counties across Pennsylvania. I wish there was a way to share this award with each of the excellent youth in our Youth Advisory Council and with Cassandra Green, my co-facilitator. I have an enormous amount of respect for the way in which Lisa and Kristen collaborated with our Youth Advisory Council to enhance the questions in the game. Kristen dedicated time to meet with all of our student leaders, and she patiently and humbly listened to their suggestions. In one example, Philly's youth looked at the game and said, I don't know if they say stick up in bodega in New York City or whatever, but in Philly we call it Robin and the Poppy Store. Kristen slowed the entire process down, changed the game based on the young people's recommendations, and now the young people have traveled to multiple diversion programs, schools, and other cities to spread this prevention and education across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And I'll end with this. Many folks don't know that my journey to the legal profession started when I was an 18-year-old music educator at Sayre High School in West Philadelphia. I strongly felt that one of my students was not treated fairly by the system, and I knew that day that if I ever had the privilege of practicing criminal law, that I was determined to incorporate education into the pursuit of justice. I'm grateful for the Krasner administration and for Bob Listenby's leadership, creativity, and guidance when it comes to the education of our youth. I sincerely thank them for allowing this teenage dream of mine to become a reality in Philadelphia. When our system is viewed as this ominous, powerful being that intentionally confuses and oppresses certain swaths of the population, we lose credibility, we lose trust, and we thereby lose a mechanism of actually keeping our neighbors safe. Strategies for Youth and the Krasner administration fundamentally understand that it's far more fruitful to have a society of young people who understand the law and respect the power of the system than to teach young people to exclusively fear the system and to distrust those who are sworn to protect and serve them. Lisa and Kristen's vision with this game truly steers our nation in the right direction. I'm so grateful for this partnership with Strategies for Youth, and I'm honored to be recognized in this way. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you so much for sharing your path to this moment and for all your hard work.
Thank you, Jordan.
So thank you, Rebecca, Brian, Jordan, and Eden. You exemplify what it means to be a juvenile justice champion. You exemplify what it means to prioritize this work, to make it happen despite the cost, right, Eden, despite the challenges, and despite what we think we know. And I think, Brian, your story is so emblematic of that. We think we know, and then we are put in a room where we're educated again about, wow, we can do this better. There are other ways to enhance community safety. There are other things we can do to work together and break down those silos. Rebecca, you talked about it. We can't do this alone. This is an opportunity for us to work together and to enhance this system together, to make this count. This is an opportunity. It's an intersection point again, we have to meet people where they are. And this is our opportunity as leaders in the field to do just that. And I challenge all of us to think about how we could do this from our role, regardless of what it is. Tonight, UC honored a public defender, a prosecutor, a police officer, and a youth services administrator, all champions in their own right from their respective positions, crossing those lines to work together to bring this to their program. And then talking about the difference it's made in the lives of those young people and the systems in those communities so that they're better suited to achieve the goal of juvenile justice 127 years in the making. And we can do this together if we focus on those things and do exactly what our champions have done tonight, which is partner, work together, figure out ways to create, to commit, and prioritize, and always remember that juvenile justice isn't a baby system of an adult criminal justice system. It is a standalone profession where everything we do matters. It is a standalone, committed system that we need to work on to make sure that we are championing what it was meant to stand for and create those paths for those that want to stay in it, like everybody on the screen, that we can, and that it's viewed as noble and a profession standing alone. So with that, I want to thank also our attendees for being here. Figure out ways to work with us. Figure out ways to connect again in your role and bring strategies for youth and programs like it to your neighborhood so that we can continue to work together and continue to do what we know is the right thing. If we put our minds to it, we can accomplish anything. And I've always believed that. It's what I'm so excited about in this role is knowing what we can accomplish, because Lisa started this, again, 2 contracts 15 years ago, and now we're in 28 states because of people like everybody that's on this screen and people like you that attend and sit through these awards. So thank you all. Thank you for being here, and have a great night.